Hey, happy Monday. I hope you had an incredible weekend. And today we're going to be talking about getting past your fear. How do you do that fucking shit? Because it's not easy, right? Like, I know most of you entrepreneurs, and what do? We are living a large life. We are going after big goals, big dreams. We are demanding of ourselves to show up and push through and do some really uncomfortable shit. Whether that's sales calls, whether that's marketing, whether that's putting yourself out there, whatever it is for you that makes you go, holy fuck. Or maybe it's all of it. Maybe it's the whole fucking thing. Maybe you're terrified learning how to do your bookkeeping. Maybe you're terrified of, what if I fucking fail? What if I succeed and then I lose it all? Like, we go through all of these goddamn stages as entrepreneurs and we can drive ourselves literally batshit. Because we get so caught up in our heads in the what ifs. What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if this person buys? What if somebody asks for a refund? How do I even do that? Like, we just go nuts. We go nuts. And the truth is, fear is complete and utter and total bullshit. And we know that. We know that here, right? I mean, I'm sure you've heard, fear is false evidence appearing real, right? We've heard that. We know it intellectually, but do you know it in your body? You know it is the truth that, yeah, we feel fear, but the fear is just this big illusion. It's not real. It's all the stuff that we imagine that if this happens or that happens, something will go wrong. It's the survival mind trying to say, whoa, we don't really know what happens if we pursue that path. That could be dangerous. So let's stay safe. Let's play small. Let's do what works, what's kept us alive. But what keeps us living isn't actually giving us life, energy, sense of awe and wonderment, a sense of accomplishment because we pushed through our own bullshit and went for the fucking thing, right? Like, that's the difference. So it's very important that we recognize, first of all, well, what is the fear that's going on in my head? What is the thing that I keep ruminating on, or when I go to do something big, that it pops up? And then I'm like stopping myself. It's really important to recognize. One of the big ones for me, and you may have heard me talk about this before, when I used to go to try and sell a program, when I was like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's make this thing happen. This is the one. I was, you pump yourself up and you do those things. But then I'd go to do it and nobody would buy right away. And it would freak me the fuck out. And I would just kind of pull back. And on that subliminal level, that very subconscious level, I was terrified that if I gave it my all, that if I went all in and I tried and I did everything I knew how to do, I was so scared that it wouldn't work, that maybe I would still fail. And then I would really be a fucking failure, right? Like, that was what was going on internally in a very subtle way. It was underneath the surface. So what did I do? I'd pull back from marketing. And then what was my false benefit from that? Oh, well, if I had gone all out, it would have worked, right? I got to protect my ego. It's kind of bullshit, right? But at the same time, this is how the mind works, and we have to understand it, because as soon as you understand how that internal system works, you can flip it around. You can step into your power and go, whoa, okay, I'm going to do this big thing, whether it's the sales call or announcing your new program or launching a product line or reaching out to get your products in a store, whatever the fuck it is. And when you're like about to do it and you're like, holy fuck, this is too big, and you feel yourself pulling back, what is going on? What is the fear? The best thing you can do is scare your fear to the surface so that it reveals itself, right? Because it's one thing if I tell you, like, go grab a pen and a piece of paper right now and write down your fears. Like, most of us don't think we have a fear of success or a fear of failure necessarily, but when it comes down to like brass tacks, it's like, oh shit, that is living in there, and it's a gnarly little fucker, isn't it? So we really want to get in there and go, okay, this is not supporting me on the path to my dreams. So why is this fear in here? And then play it out. Like, what's the worst case fucking scenario? Like, for me, I was like, okay, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? When I finally noticed that was going on inside, and I was like, oh, well, the worst case is that it doesn't work. And then I realize what I know doesn't work. And that's okay, because then I can go and actually explore another option. it really wasn't a big deal, but I had so much riding on it. Like it was my reputation was on the line or some crap. Like it was just such a fear. And so, and that was years, by the way. That wasn't just like, oh, one time I went to launch and I freaked out. No, I did that for years. I would go to launch and panic and freak out and pull back and half-ass it. And then either nobody would sign up or a handful of people would sign up for something. And then it was just kind of mediocre results because I wasn't playing all in. And if you want to have a life that is full with all of the things you want, you can't half-ass it. You want to go swimming laps in the pool, you got to stick in more than your fucking toe, right? You can't go swimming if you're not in the pool. So you have to get in the goddamn pool. And the best way to do it is to jump in the deep end. Because what happens when we dip a toe in? Ooh, the water's cold. And then it takes us forever to get in the pool because we get ankle deep and then you get into your calves and when it hits your thighs, I mean, guys, you know what I'm talking about. It's fucking freezing. Or if it's hitting the girls, I mean, that shit's uncomfortable. But if we jump into the deep end, it's a shock. It's like what did I just do? Oh my God. And then your body adapts. And then you're like, oh, the water feels great. That's how it works. That's how it works in your business, right? You jump all in. You're like, this is it. There is no other option. I am all fucking in. I am doing the plan. I am making the sales call. I am doing the launch. It's whatever the fuck it is you've decided to do and you go all in. Holy shit. Like you can move mountains when you go all in because failure is no longer an option. When you decide to do something, you literally are cutting off all other options and you are deciding that no matter how long it takes, how uncomfortable it is, how expensive it gets, how many blood, sweat, and tears I need to pour into this thing, that I will do it. I will figure this motherfucker out. And when you do that, you get so much more creative, right? Like you start asking yourself the right questions instead of going like, ooh, what would happen if nobody signed up? Like, is that helping me? No. But what would be helpful? Okay, I'm all in. This has to work. I have to figure this thing out. Okay, well, what do successful people do that have done this before? And then that's leading you to a good answer. What are some creative new strategies that I could learn? What's a good book that's going to teach me something about this? So you start asking questions that are empowering, that get your brain turning in the right way, because you really always got this beautiful thing called a mind, which can either work for you or against you. And it really depends on whether we're purposefully using it or whether we're letting it run the show. That's the big thing. So we want to make sure, because remember, your ego is kind of like a 5-year-old kid, super fun sometimes. And like, it's a part of you. We tend to like crap all over the ego, and truthfully, it's a part of you for a reason. And it's a good thing that we have it, because otherwise we wouldn't really have any earthly attachment to anything. We'd be like, this life is temporary. Why would I care to do anything? And we, wouldn't. But it's also important to know, because it has that 5-year-old aspect to it, it's also, sometimes it's a scared little kid. Sometimes it's like panicking. And so we want to give ourselves a lot of love and compassion as we're doing these big, scary things. Remind ourselves it's okay. And then, get some support. Get yourself a coach, get yourself, a buddy, a peer who is at your level, who you can lean on and be like, hey, I'm doing this big thing. Hold me to it. Make sure that I show the fuck up, because when other people know about it, you're so much more likely to do the damn thing and push through the discomfort, push through the fear, and dive in. And the really neat thing about fear, and I know you've experienced this in your life, whether it was when you were learning to like ride a bike, or when you got your first roller coaster ride, as you're leading up to it, it's scary. When you're standing in line waiting to get on a roller coaster, at first at the back of the line, you're all cocky, like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to throw my hands in the air. It's going to be friggin' great. And then as the line gets closer and closer, you're like, that's high. Like you start to second guess that shit a little bit. Your resolve is like, ooh, I don't know if I can do this. And as it gets really close to the front, the panic's almost setting in, like, holy shit, what if my harness comes off? I'm going to fly into the stratosphere, and it's, oh my, I'm going to be on the news tonight as like the one person who's died on this thing. Like it's, you go into tailspins and it's fucking ridiculous. But truthfully, after you got on the thing and you got strapped in and it was too damn late because that thing was moving, you were terrified, But then, oh my God, it gets going and it's fast and it's exhilarating and it's exciting and you did end up going, woo! And you loved it. And that's the joy of it, right? Because fear is one of these things that it's only scary when you don't know what it's like. After you know what it's like, it's not scary anymore. It's just, it's an experience. So we have to be really conscious about that and recognize where we're kind of fucking ourselves over. So it's really, really important that we're doing that so that we just don't get in our own way. So one of the things that I would love for you to do today is recognize, where have you been stopping yourself with your big dreams and your big goals? Where have you been like, man, I want to do this thing. And then you go to do it and you're like, I'm going to go watch Netflix, or I'm going to check my email, or, I really need to reorganize my bookshelf. Like whatever it is, that's your favorite go-to excuse. I want you to think about what's going on underneath when you really go to do it. What's the fear? So stimulate that fucker, right? Like I want you to go and do that thing that you normally do or want to do and haven't actually gone through. And I want you to get in motion towards that and recognize, this is where I feel it. And this is what I think's going on underneath, and start to examine that little fucker, because this is where your power is. When you recognize that the fear is going to be there, you're going to feel it. You're always going to feel it. There's no way to get rid of that. And again, that's a good thing, because we'd all, not have a fear of anything and get hit by a car. We'd all be dead. So it's really important that we recognize fear is there for our benefit. However, in our day-to-day lives, like if you make a sales call and they say no, you're not going to die. We're in no real danger. So we need to be okay with diving in and getting uncomfortable and doing these big scary things, because it will flex that mental fortitude. It's like building a muscle where you start to learn that when I leap, when I take a risk, I don't always succeed, but I don't die and I move closer towards my goal, because success doesn't happen in big leaps. It just doesn't. It happens with persistence over time, with going at it and recognizing that you might get 100 no's before you get your first yes. You might get 1,000 no's. You might fall on your face 100 times. It's okay. It's okay that happens. There's nothing wrong with that. It's only wrong when we start calling ourselves like, I'm not good enough and I'm a failure and all these things we tie up in a knot. But the truth is, as a human being, you didn't learn algebra in a day, right? You don't get fit by working out one weekend. You commit to the path. You get better. You master each trait, and it does not happen quickly. So be patient with it and trust the process. This is the thing that's really important when we're building our dream lives, when we are tapping into our true infinite wellspring of power. It happens when we get out of our own way and when we start to do this self-examination, because it's not about the skills. The skills are important. Don't get me wrong. You do need to have strategy. You do need to have these things to implement. It's not 100% mindset. However, if you don't have that mindset for success set up within you, you're definitely going to fail. You're not going to have mediocre results at best, because you are leading the charge. So any of your limitations will show up in the execution. So we have to address them, because self-mastery is everything. That is how you conquer your life. It's how you conquer every one of your dreams, how you bring your desires into fruition. This is the magic shit. So this is where it's at. If you are somebody who knows that they've been paralyzed from fear for a very long time, this is where your work begins. It becomes that self-examination. It must start there. So this is your call to action, to not let it stop you, because I don't want to see you waste another day, another week, another month, another year, another fucking decade not doing the things that you want to do because you're fucking scared. Because there's nothing worse than thinking about looking back 10 years from now going, I have regret and I feel guilty and ashamed that I didn't go after it because I was too scared. Fuck that. Go after it now. Your life is too precious to wait. That's so important. So go after your dreams. And if you are somebody who is willing to dive deep and get in and do the work and face all of this shit, I am calling you to come and join us for the Keys to the Universe 21-day program. We are going to get into the mechanics of how you operate, how you create the success in your life, how your mind works, all of these really powerful, potent tools that will allow you to move forward without having to waste all of this time doing trial and error and trying to figure it out by yourself. So we're going to be diving in May. It is going to be absolutely life-changing, and I am so excited to be there with you guys. So I'll drop the link for that. If you have any questions, reach out. And again, in the meantime, go after those fears. Face those fuckers. Recognize that they don't control you. They do not have control over your life unless you let them. The fear will always be there until you face it. So face it. Go and face it right now. Tell me what you're facing. Hold yourself accountable, and let's do this shit. All right? I love you guys. Have an amazing day. Mwah.